Jessica with Gold Rush Expeditions. Right now we've just pulled up to the Krug Mine. We're about 50 miles outside of Winnemucca, Nevada, and we are in Pershing County. Now the way the Krug Mine sets out, it actually is going to go this direction and over the top of this mountain. There is a road that we have not explored yet, but it'll take us to the other side. So right now, the road was good, getting to where we are, and I have found 3 buildings that are made with the rock from the area and 1 mine entrance. Right now, I wanted to point out that I am standing in a trash pile. You know, they say one man's trash is another man's treasure. Well, it's really fun to come out here and just see some of the stuff that the miners used, drank, ate while they were here. So you can see I've got some cans. Some of them aren't in very good shape. Most of them aren't, in fact. But you can tell a lot. They didn't have a can opener with this. It looks to me like they probably just used a little knife and pried it open the best that they could. Not a clean cut edge. That's kind of fun. Something that you don't see today. One other thing that's really cool is old bottles. Now, if you can find old bottles still intact, that's pretty cool. But even seeing just bits and pieces of them can tell you a lot. For instance, this is an older bottle. I can tell you the glass is thicker. It's also got a lot of little bubbles in it. Back then, they would have to hand pour the glass, and they would use 2 molds and put them together. And so you would get a nice seam in all of your glassware from those back then. And again, it was really thick because they didn't have the technology to have really thin glass back then. One other thing that tells me that this is really old is it's got a lot of bubbles, and I'll bring this closer to the camera so that you can see it, but there are lots and lots of little bubbles in this piece of glass right here, telling me that this was hand poured, an older piece. Another thing, some glass, as it sits out and ages, it actually starts to change colors. So down here, I'm just going to pick up a few of these. So this one's pretty clear, hasn't really gotten a lot of color, but I've got this blue piece right here, which, whether this was blue to begin with, I doubt it, but just sitting in the sun over time has turned this glass blue. And then I've also got purple, so some really pretty glass. This one appears that it's a little bit newer because it's a little bit thinner, but overall, pretty old stuff here. This one does have a marking on the bottom of it, so we can always do some research and see what maybe it was. I'll be honest, the miners liked to drink, so most likely these were whiskey or liquor, wine, something to help them on the dark, lonely nights out here. I'm going to continue exploring. So this is the first adit that we're going to explore on the Krug Mine. I want to point this out. This is some timbering put here in front of the adit. What they would have done with this most likely is put a door on it. What they did, you know, door, keep other people out, protect what's inside. They don't want people coming in and looting their mine in the middle of the night. So a nice door at one time probably would have been right here in between these timbers. Some things to look at that you can tell the age of a mine or the age of construction is to look at the nails. I want to point, this nail is huge. It's probably a 1/2 inch thick. You don't usually see nails these days that are 1/2 inch thick. Another thing, right here, I've got 4 nails holding this in. The nails, today you would see them, they're circular because they're usually done by a machine. Back in the 1900s, early 1900s, you had a blacksmith, and he would get the metal nice and hot, and then he'd have his little anvil and his hammer and chink, 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 chink. Overall, pretty good construction though. I mean, this thing is pretty solid. I'm not surprised that it's still standing. I think this right here, this little 2x4, probably had the name of the mine at one point in time. Probably said Krug Mine. I don't see any other reason that this board right here would be here unless it had the name of the mine. Really cool if we could see that today, but it's no longer there. I do believe this is a gold mine. 1, because historically I know it is. And 2, you've got a lot of that iron-stained quartz. There's a lot of it in this area. This area has been known for gold, and there's signs of it all over the place. I was showing earlier the design of the nails and how it would have had to be done by a blacksmith. Well, here's the shop that he did it in. There is the anvil block here. So you had the anvil block, then the anvil would stay on top of the block, and you've got straps to hold the anvil on. Behind it is what looks like it was probably the little fire pit from where he would have heated up the metal before he would have molded it. It's built into the rock with the rock, and it's built into the corner of the building over here. We also have part of a stove on the ground over here and part of a compressor. One thing about this wood that I want to point out, today all of your wood is usually machined. He puts it in a machine, it comes out perfectly. Sometimes you have a little bow, no problem. Back in the 1900s, early 1900s, it was done with an axe. So if you could imagine trying to make a block like this with an axe. Now you may say, that's crazy. How does she know that was done with an axe? Well, I'm going to walk into the other side here, and I'm going to make the camera follow me shortly. But right up here, there is an axe mark that you can clearly see, smack, where the axe missed a little bit, but they're like, oops, can't exactly repair that. One other reason I know that this was done with an axe is you can clearly see the unperfectness of this, to be honest with you. And you can see there's straight, sharp little cuts to this piece of wood in the door frame, which again is just an axe getting off all these nice little branches so they don't poke you when you're going into your blacksmith shop to make some nails for the mine here. And you can see that this whole thing, I mean, this is a really good view of what that axe would have done to clear up these trees to make them suitable for this building here. I'm up here further on one of the 3 buildings at the Krug Mine. Again, we're on the more traveled side. We still have to get to the other side of the mine. What I wanted to point out with this particular building is above the door here, it says found 1914. That's what I make out of it. It's a little bit hard to see because it was done with an awl and probably a little hammer, and it's just little dots right over the door frame here. Really cool. You've also got this little, probably bowl and cup, multi-purposed, that was used when this mine was active. What else I want to point out? This is some really old construction here, or somebody who didn't have a lot of money to begin with kind of construction. You can see this right here, this concrete is actually just this dirt around me that's been packed together with some water and packed in between these rocks. These rocks, you can find them all over this valley floor, along this mountainside. It's all natural rock. It's from the area. They just used their resources to put together this stone house. We're looking at the back of this building right here. I would go in and show it to you a little bit better, but there's actually a very intricate spider web right here in the door. I don't want to disturb that spider. He put a lot of work into that frame, and he's actually sitting here. Maybe we can get a little picture of him. I'm going to leave him be. But I can tell just by looking back there, it looks like it's been burned. That tells me there has been a fire there. Like I said, it may be an assay that was there. Maybe it was for warmth. Not really sure, but the history, I'm sure, will tell us what it was. We're still out here exploring the Krug Mine. I just had the crap scared out of me. No, it wasn't a snake, just a snake skin, but it's really long. And I don't like snakes, regardless of where I'm at. Still don't like snakes. But there is some beautiful quartz here. Right here, you can see inside this quartz is a lot of copper. So copper right there in with the quartz. Again, your metals like to run together, so where there's copper, you're most likely going to find gold as well. All the copper in the quartz is sitting here. Where's the gold? Well, they probably took the biggest, highest grade gold out, and that's what they processed when they were here working the Krug. Does that mean there's not gold in this telling pile still? No, absolutely not. What that basically means is they took the highest grade stuff, but you have to think the early 1900s processing of gold wasn't as efficient as it is today. So you can still find gold in these little chunks that are left here. To get the gold out of this quartz here, what I would do is get a crusher, crush the rock down really fine, and run it through a sluice box. For those of you who know placer mining, it's essentially the same idea, except for you're getting the gold right at the source, breaking it down instead of it breaking down naturally and running down into a wash. We just followed the quartz tailings into here, and you can see the quartz right here along the wall. This is the vein. All of these cuts that we've seen here at the Krug, there's a whole bunch of cuts, are all along this quartz vein. That tells me that's where they were finding the gold. That's why there's so many little holes. They were following this quartz, finding the gold, and taking it off. That's what they were running this mining operation off of. We're starting to lose daylight. That's a typical problem for us. We're going to head to the other side of the mountain, see what we can see before that sun decides to go down on us. So we've just come into the adit that says danger explosive. It is possible they kept some, you know, dynamite in here at one point in time. I can tell you there's none here now. Again, I can see that beautiful quartz vein that they were following for the gold.
That's your golden money right there.
That's your golden money. Corey says behind me. Some boxes.
Make anything out there? Just a number two?
Just a number two. Nothing particular. Looks like it was a box that held vegetables. Probably cans of vegetables, because I doubt they had fresh vegetables out here.
Okay.
Something Hill, not quite sure. It looks like they had a little, they multi-purposed it, and it had a carrier on it that they were probably maybe carrying ores in and out with to sample or whatnot. There is a nice workbench here. So they were probably doing some sort of work at the entrance of this mine. And right above me, you can see the money-making gold quartz vein. Nice and iron stained. So, was this an explosives room? Probably not. I'm gonna continue back and look if I find anything else interesting. Not 100% sure what this is. We're inside the biggest cut of the Krug. This is more of an adit than a cut. Even though it does say danger explosives in the door, this is definitely not just a powder room. Right here, you have got a bunch of wood holding up a bunch of muck, basically. When you see this, never, ever, ever, ever touch it, okay? Very, very bad. I could break one of these and all of this rock, hundreds of tons of rock, could come right down on top of me. Things to be cautious of to keep you safe in a mine, never touch something like that. I'm just gonna keep on walking by. Here's a big stope. Again, working along that quartz vein. You can see it over here along the side. Dig, 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 dig. And oh yeah, don't move this. Oh, Hercules powder. Do you see that? Yep. So you've got this nice timber that's holding, and then there is the side of a Hercules powder dynamite box. Very cool. Use what you got, right? Now there is a bat right around here that I don't want to disturb. So one last thing I want to point out is this giant quartz vein. You can see it's probably 1.5 feet thick right through here. There's the quartz vein, what they've been following, and this is the reason for all the stoping in this mine. Following the quartz, you can see there, about 1.5 feet wide. That's where your gold is. We just got done exploring the biggest adit on the Krug site. A lot of people have talked to Corey about, hey, how do I keep people off of my mine? I don't want them going in my mine. How do I keep people out? One really easy way, put danger explosive, or do not enter, bad air, a poison sign. That basically is going to keep your average Joe out of your mine. This is Jessica Schumann for Gold Rush Expeditions. The sun has set, we're gonna get off this mountain, but we will see you at the next site.
Holy shit, what is this? What is this trash? Man, it's like the miners just threw all their trash out here. Whatever happened to leave no trace and like leave only footprints and take only... Man, miners were jerks. Look at all this trash. This is disgusting.
This is not disgusting. No, let me tell you that there is so much history that I can find just by looking through some of this trash. First of all, they smoked tobacco. Do you want to know how I know? This is an old tobacco tin.
And they just threw it out here because they don't care about the environment.
It's not that they don't care about the environment. What were they supposed to do? Pack, 40 pounds of trash up on their burros and haul it out of here? It's not like they really had a choice back then. Plus, I mean, look at all this. Sardines. Yum. You want some sardines for dinner? How would I know that they ate sardines out here if I didn't have something to remember them by?
What is that?
What is what?
That thing in your hand.
This?
No, the thing you just set down. What is that?
The sardine can? So this would have been on your can, like this. This is probably a sardine can. And they would roll it.
Really?
Open it up. Eat their little disgusting sardines. Of course you can. And look at this. I mean, all this glass. Look how beautiful this is. You can see some rainbow design in this. You can tell that this was hand poured by the different seams here. And there's little bubbles inside some of this stuff. They say leave no trace now, but if these guys would have left no trace, then we would have no idea what they did here. Another thing I found, just while digging through this trash pile,
Maybe this is just their special trash that they just left.
No, this was their trash. They didn't think anybody would care about this stuff in the future, so they just tossed it out here.
Well, like if...
So, I want you to check this out. Hand-painted plates.
Whoa.
How do you think somebody got a hold of those out here?
How old do you think that is?
I would say that's probably 1920s, 1930s. I mean, look at that. That's all hand paint. And you can see that it's all over through here.
Well, they probably just left this so that people in the future could see this stuff and like archaeologically assess their lives, right?
No, they did not think that.
So they just threw trash out, and through that we're able to see what they did out here?
Yeah. It's amazing what trash can tell us. I mean...
So what are we going to leave? What do we leave? How are people ever going to know that we were out here?
Well, leave no trace. I mean, maybe if we disappeared tomorrow, people wouldn't know we were here. I'm not saying that it's okay to go out and litter, but it's amazing what you can see that people did on these old sites just by their trash. Don't know what to tell you.
Wow. So maybe making everything not wilderness would actually leave some of the trace of us being out here.
That's for sure. One thing I want to point out, the fleur-de-lis sign that's been so popular lately.
Yeah.
Look at that. Somebody had the fleur-de-lis way back then.
Wow.
Such a popular little iconic symbol these days. Everybody knows what the fleur-de-lis is.
Well, that's really cool. I just would have thought this was like trash, but...
Well, it technically
trash
is, but we can learn from it.
Yeah, with somebody's trash, we can really see what happens. So, I mean, that really makes me think about what we're going to leave for future generations.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. We destroy our history and have nothing else to show for it. I do want to go check out this little cap over here.